welcome back to the My Slice of Life podcast, where we explore life's simple joys. I'm Sharon O'Neill, and I am your very own Highland host. Yes, I'm still coming at you from the Highlands of Scotland. This season is all about the folklore of trees and plants, and we're now over halfway through. But before I dive in, I'm just going to give you a quick reminder to hit subscribe and do all the positive things. You know what to do by now, and there are lots of links in the description for you too. And also a very big thank you to Budget Seeds, who are giving my UK listeners a 10% discount when you use my link SO'Neill10. There is of course a link to them in the description. That's budgetseeds.co.uk. So a very big thank you to them for doing that. And finally, I just want to let you know that there are going to be big changes coming to the podcast. I'll explain more in the bonus episode, but for now, I can tell you that this will most likely be the last season in this format. It will still be me hosting, but things will be a little different, so I really hope you'll stay tuned for that. Like I said, I'll go into a bit more detail in the bonus episode if you're wondering, what is she doing now? Well, yes, I am doing something, so I'll tell you all about it then. However, this week we're not talking about that. This week we are looking at our tree of the week, and we're diving into the folklore of one of the most mystical trees out there, the willow. This tree is no stranger to folklore, as it's been a symbol of magic, mystery and transformation for centuries. From its ties to ancient gods and goddesses to its role in poetry, witchcraft and even modern storytelling, the willow has truly earned its place in this season. So go and grab a coffee or whatever else you fancy, get cosy, and let's unravel the enchanting history and mystery of the willow tree. The willow tree has a special place in various cultures across the world and throughout time. Willow is most often associated with water, new growth and healing, optimism, movement, bereavement and adaptability, amongst other things. And I want to start by reading a little bit from Margaret Baker's book, Discovering the Folklore of Plants. She writes, "Crosses of willow or palm were worn on the person or appeared in houses in England on Palm Sunday, and hung until the following year as protective, sanctifying symbols. Some, kept green in water, served as thunder charms or, in mining districts, as amulets during perilous work underground." So just from that little snippet, we're already getting this protective quality coming from the tree. But the other thing I found interesting here is that cutting willow was usually considered unlucky. Although doing it for Palm Sunday, which is coming up soon, if you're listening to this as it's coming out, and then having it blessed by the church, that would make it safe. And in these older times, willow twigs were also used in the garden to protect crops as well as bringing good luck. And I'm assuming that these are either twigs that have fallen to the ground naturally or these branches that have been blessed by the church. But it was also considered the wood of the gallows, and so it was a wood avoided by builders, especially in the eastern part of England known as the Fens. And in Baker's book, she tells a story of the owner of Poppy Lot Hall in Methwold Fen. I think that's how you pronounce it. He bought a load of willow beams in the 1880s from a demolished house and planned to use them to panel his study. Now, the locals tried to warn him of the bad luck associated with the willow, but he ignored them and continued with his plans. Only 12 months later, he was found dead in his newly completed study, where he had shot himself. More tragedy was to come, however, as the hall was then let to two families. One family had a lodger whose bedroom had been converted from that study. He went on to batter to death the wife of a tinker who lived in a nearby hut. It turned out said tinker had stolen 6 of the willow beams before the work on the study had even started, and he'd used those beams to build his hut. Willow trees were used to make cricket bats, but in that area the company which made them couldn't get rid of the tree trimmings as the locals didn't want anything to do with them. On a cheerier note, in Yorkshire, girls would throw a shoe at a willow tree on New Year's night or at Easter, and if it stuck in the branches, that was a sign she would be married later that year. In other areas, it was believed striking children or animals with a willow stick stunted their growth. Yeah, I know, it's horrific, but that was one of the things. But if you tied a sprig of willow around your butter churn, the fairies couldn't steal your butter. Now, I said this either last week or the week before, it always comes back to fairies. And there we are again. Now, another part of British folklore was that whispering your worries to a willow tree would help it absorb your troubles, and if you shared your secrets with this tree, the wind would carry them away, leaving you with a lighter heart. One of the most famous types of willow is the weeping willow, named for the way its branches droop as if in sorrow. This tree has been associated with death, grief and mourning for centuries, with many different stories about how it actually got its name. Oracles predicted Alexander the Great's death when they noticed that the willow brushed the crown off his head while he was passing in a boat. And in Victorian England, willow trees were commonly found in graveyards, often carved onto tombstones as a symbol of grief. But this connection between willows and death isn't just a Western thing. In Chinese culture, the willow is sometimes planted near burial sites to help guide spirits to the afterlife. Chinese folklore has deep respect for the willow tree, and in Taoist traditions, the willow represents resilience and grace, bending in the wind, but never breaking. Guanyin, the goddess of compassion, is often depicted holding a willow branch, symbolizing healing and protection. Now, the weeping willow, despite its name, isn't just about sadness. It also represents resilience and renewal. After all, willows grow quickly, even from cut branches planted in the ground, and they remind us that even in grief, life continues and new growth is possible. It's no secret that the Native American tribes have a deep connection with nature, and for them, the willow tree was believed to bring good luck. They often tied willow branches to their boats for protection against bad weather, and to their homes to safeguard against negative spirits. And in Celtic mythology, willows were associated with the moon, water, and feminine energy. They were believed to be sacred to poets and bards, offering inspiration and insight to those who sat beneath them. Druids, the spiritual leaders of the Celts, considered the willow a gateway to deeper knowledge and intuition, and if you've ever sat underneath a willow tree, I think you'll understand why they felt this way. There really is something magical about them. In Greek mythology, the willow tree was linked to Hecate, the goddess of magic, the moon, and the underworld, and it was also associated with Persephone, who spent half the year in the land of the dead. This connection to both life and the afterlife made the willow a symbol of transformation and cycles of existence. Willow wood was also a popular choice for making wands, staffs, and even broomsticks in magical traditions, as it was said to deter evil as well as enhance intuition and psychic abilities. Shakespeare even referenced the willow in Othello. Desdemona sings a sorrowful willow song before her tragic fate, cementing the tree's association with lost love and melancholy. But even in modern times, willow remains a staple of fantasy stories. The Whomping Willow in Harry Potter and the Weeping Willows in fairy tales, they often have these magical or mysterious qualities. Now, the willow tree isn't just a symbol in mythology, it's also been incredibly useful in real life. You're probably aware that willow bark contains salicin, which is the natural precursor to aspirin. Ancient cultures, including the Egyptians and the Greeks, they used willow bark to treat fevers and pain. It's long been known for this. Beyond medicine, willow branches have been used for weaving baskets, making furniture, and all sorts of construction. The flexible branches make them perfect for crafting items that need to be both strong and flexible. So whether it's easing a headache or creating a basket, the Willow's gifts go far beyond just folklore. And if you do fancy having a willow tree in your garden, there are a few things you should be aware of. If you take a branch from a tree, even a small one, and either put it in water or put it in the ground and keep it well watered, it will take root. Just don't put it anywhere too close to buildings, as their roots do travel, and they have been known to cause damage to buildings in the past. Their roots will go and seek out water anywhere. Very useful if you have a large garden and you have an area which is prone to flooding, but not so useful if your garden's tiny and you plant it right next to your house. Not recommended. I have used them as a fast-growing hedge in the past, but I had to take most of them out as they just grew so damn fast and I couldn't keep up. But I've kept one, and I keep it very small. In fact, it's right beside my buddleia, as the caterpillars love the willow, and then the butterflies can enjoy the flowers of the buddleia right next door. In my head it makes total sense, so that's what I did. So, the willow tree, as we've seen, is more than just a tree. It's a symbol of wisdom, resilience and mystery. Whether it's guiding souls, inspiring poets or healing the sick, the willow has left its mark on human history in so many ways. But if you know of other folklore about this gorgeous tree, please tell us about it in the comments. And if you have enjoyed this slightly shorter episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, do all those good positive things because it really, really does help. I'll be back next Monday with another piece of folklore about our trees and plants, but until then, you take care of your wee self.